Alright. Hello. So I'm here to talk about things that you should consider before getting pet rats. Um, First of all, I want to say they're great pets. They're smart, loyal. They genuinely love you because they're very social. Um, they're relatively easy to care for compared to other pets that are this interactive, like dogs and cats. um, they can be litter trained. They're great pets for kids, especially the males, because they're a little bit larger and usually easier to hold because they're not as hyper as the females. They're just they're kind of like very small dogs that can be litter trained like a cat. But there are some things that you need to consider before you go, oh wow, this sounds like a great pet, maybe I should go get one. First mistake, you can't get just one rat. You have to get at least two, because rats are very social creatures. You know, some rats, it's very rare, but occasionally there'll be a rat, usually a male who just does not get along with other rats, has to be kept alone. Really, really rare. Uh, if you keep a rat alone, you're literally going to have to be with them for 24 hours. And even then, you still wouldn't be able to satisfy its social needs because you can't communicate with it the way another rat would be able to. So, if you're going to get a rat, you need to get at least two. Um, the more the merrier, if you have the time and the funds to take care of more, then I say go for it. I have 3 girls and 2 boys, and I love them to death. Um, but and taking care of 2 rats is not any harder or really more expensive than taking care of one. I mean, yeah, they'll eat a little more food, but food's not that expensive. Um, Secondly, rats can consume a lot of space and time. Each rat needs 2 cubic feet of space in the cage. So you need a cage that is at least 4 cubic feet in order to have 2 rats. There are cage calculators online that you can plug the dimensions of cages into. So you're going to want to have the cage picked out, before you go out and buy rats. The popular cages include Martin's cages. This is www.martinscages.com, I believe. They have sections specifically for rats. They're easy to put together, pretty easy to clean. My first cage was a Martin's cage. And, in fact, I'm using it for the boys now because I've upgraded the girls. To another popular rat cage, which is the Critter Nation. Ferret Nations are also popular, but Critter Nations are basically the same thing, just with a smaller bar spacing, so you can use them for smaller rats. Females are more likely to be able to slip out of Ferret Nations because the bar spacing is bigger, and you also can't keep babies in them without wrapping it in chicken wire and securing it with zip ties. So, and they come in single and double units, and there's an add-on unit you can get if you have a single and then you decide you want to upgrade to a double later. The only problem with those cages is that if you use actual bedding, you're probably going to want to build a base pan because they come out with pull-out shelf type things, and then there's not a lot of space for bedding, so it'll get kicked out a lot if you use actual bedding. So, what I do is I use fleece and cotton batting liners, and the fleece wicks the urine through and the cotton batting absorbs it. And then, I don't have to spend a fortune because I just wash the fleece every week when I change the cage. And so that can save you a lot of money. The initial cost for a double Critter Nation, if you get expensive fleece, can be kind of expensive. But, saves you money in the long run. But rats can also be destructive. My girls, who are in the double Critter Nation, if they get bored and they're left in the cage too long, like if I'm gone for a day, I don't come back till evening, they will have ripped holes in their liners. Every week I have to repair the liners because the girls get bored and they start ripping them apart. My rats don't chew on very much. They don't chew on the walls or the corners. The most I usually have to worry about is my sheets on my bed, and sometimes they'll get into wires. So you just need to be really careful about that around rats if you get them. Don't have anything plugged in that you don't want them to get to. The only stuff I have plugged in is a TV, and I've completely hidden the wire that can't get to that wire, as you'll see in my Intro to Rats video if you watch that. And I'll have my laptop and my phone plugged in sometimes when I'm here to supervise. You also, for rats, they're really smart, like I said, so you need a lot of toys to keep them from getting bored, so that can get kind of expensive. And, not all rats like the same things, so it's kind of a toss-up. Some rats really like cat balls. I've tried cat balls and ferret balls with my rats, and, sometimes they'll throw them off ledges to make noise, but they really don't like them unless there's food stuffed in them. But usually if you get food-based interactive toys, they're the most popular with rats. Hang on. Stop that. We don't chew on that. Another thing that you need to think about before getting rats, this is Vivi, say hi Vivi, is that they're extremely prone to respiratory diseases. Basically all rats you're gonna get are unless they're lab rats, are gonna have mycoplasmosis, which is a disease that is contracted through the birth canal from the mothers and lives in the lungs, and there can also be genital mycoplasmosis, I believe. And so, vet expenses. It can get pretty expensive. This last year, I spent $400 on my old rat. She was 2.5 years old, probably, a little over. I only had her for 3 months because I adopted her when she was really old. And, I spent $400 trying to figure out what was wrong with her and keep her alive, but she ended up dying. So, unless you have enough money, don't get rats. And they're not disposable like some people think they are. Like I said, rats are like tiny dogs that can be trained to use a litter box, like cats. So, you really learn to fall in love with them. And they love you, and they depend on you. So, if your rat is sick or injured, take it to the vet. Another kind of thing you need to think about before getting rats is don't have a very long lifespan. 2 to 3 years on average. I think the oldest rat in the Guinness Book of World Records was like 7, which is pretty old, and some dogs or cats live that long, I guess, but that was the oldest rat. So usually 2 to 3 years, sometimes 4 if you feed them really well. They get a lot of exercise and they have good genetics, but I mean, if you're going to own rats for a long time, there's going to be a lot of heartbreak because they do become really special to you. And, since they're small, you can easily injure them by sitting on them or stepping on them. And that might sound funny, but I've accidentally sat on my rats a couple times. And, they're always okay, and I never, squish them. But they'll be under the covers, and I'll sit down, and it'll be like, there's a rat under my butt. So, you gotta watch out for that. Other than that, they're really good pets, and I really think that, if you can afford them and give them the time they need, the love they deserve, that they're definitely a pet that more people should get. Oh, and another thing to keep in mind is that rats need fresh vegetables and fruits every night, because, the foods you get them from the pet store don't get seed mixes. Rats will only pick out the parts they like the best, so they won't actually get all the nutrition. And a lot of them have dried corn, which has a carcinogenic fungus in it, and sunflower seeds are in a lot of them really too fatty for rats. Good as a treat sometimes, but not as an everyday thing in a mix. And they also have alfalfa pellets, and rats cannot digest alfalfa. So anyway, you want a high-quality lab block like Harlan Teclad, which you can also order as Native Earth on Amazon, I believe. And Oxbow Regal Rat is another good one. I've used both of them. I prefer the Oxbow, but the Harlan Teclad is cheaper. So, but they do need fresh fruits and veggies every night, because those lab blocks that you're going to give them, yes, they're nutritionally complete, but they get boring. It's all processed nutrients, so they're not really getting anything fresh. So the fruits and vegetables just kind of help get them those nice fresh nutrients. And a lot of them have antioxidants and such that help prevent cancer, because female rats especially are very prone to mammary tumors in their older age. So yeah, just some things to consider before you get rats. Hope you enjoyed my video. Bye!